In this video, we're going to go over adding a few effects to our character. Right now, we've got our completed color character with some shadows added in, and all of the lines are completely finished. And the first effect that we're going to add in is going to be the stroke. In Illustrator, you can come into these shapes here, pick a particular one, and we can change the color of the stroke. For this particular character, I am going to stick with the black, but you could really change it to anything. And then up here in the top, we're going to click on this width profile, and you can see it gives us kind of a weird little effect here. This is, I would say, simulating the effect of drawing with a pen. And there's plenty of these up here. These are a few that I made myself. They're a little bit more extreme. And then let's try one of them out on there. You can see they look a little bit more extreme there, but there's a bunch of different options you could do with that. You can also go in and change the brush. So if you wanted to, let's change that back and make that uniform. But if we wanted to take this and make it like a pencil outline, we could do that as well. So that'll create a really cool effect. Really good hand-drawn look to our character. And looks like he's outlined with crayon, so it's kind of neat. Only thing is we are going to have our shadows outlined with that as well. You can go through and edit them individually so that they have just a regular stroke, but that does definitely give you that option. I particularly like these brushes where they've got a bit of a variable width. Kind of just makes it a little bit more interesting. I'm going to click on this hat. I don't really like the way that looks, so I'm going to just check out some of these other ones. I think I like that one. So we're going to stick with that on the face. I think we're just going to go with the uniform one. And yeah, I think that's looking pretty neat. You will see it has changed the stroke of some of these shapes. Some of these shapes, like this one, which we made with the Live Paint tool, should not have a stroke. So we're going to have to go in and fix that. Let's make it so that it doesn't have a stroke. Nothing in there has a stroke. And I'm having a bit of a problem selecting that. Let's find this shape. And it looks like it's actually created a bit of a problem there. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just start that one over. In this video, we will be covering adding effects to our character. At this point, we should have a completely colored character. all of the outlines should be finished, and then now we can just go in and add some cool effects. I'm going to select this fur shape here, and you can see over here with the stroke color I can change that, add some extra color in there. I think for this character we're going to keep him with black outlines, but you do definitely have that option. One of the other main options you have is to go in and mess with the stroke here. You can go to this width profile, and it's going to change the width of the stroke, and that'll give you kind of a inked pen effect there. And you can also come in here and select some neat brushes. This one looks kind of like a crayon, so if I were to go in here with the entire head and give it that brush profile, it does definitely give you this crayon look to it. So that's kind of neat. Let's go in, change the width profile to uniform. One thing that is going to be a problem is this shoe. We won't be able to change the stroke on this shoe at all. This is because some of these shapes, like this one, has a stroke that's been expanded so that it doesn't show up on the bottom. And if we add a stroke to this, like this, or over here, add a stroke, it's going to add the stroke in the middle here too. So don't want that. I'm just going to select the foot, just the foot, and lock this layer. Okay. With the rest of the shapes, we are definitely going to add a bit of an interesting stroke. Let's go in. It looks like I don't have a stroke for all of them. And we can just go in, click on these objects, change the outline to the width profile, something a little more interesting. Go in and add some there. I think for the head shape, we're actually going to just keep that uniform. And then let's go into the shirt here. Looks like we've got a weird thing happening with the way we expanded that object the first time. So looks like we're stuck with that the way it is. But if you're not doing plaid shapes and you expand it correctly, unlike what I did a couple steps ago, you would be able to go through, change any of these shapes to different width profiles. Okay. The next effect we're going to go over is going to be adding some neat effects in Photoshop. So let's take our character, select all of them, including the foot, which we're going to have to unlock. and we're just going to copy him. So we'll just go up to Edit, Copy. Now I'm going to open up Photoshop. Just wait for a minute for it to open up. Go to File, New, and we do want a fairly large document, so let's go with, I guess we'll just go with 2048 by 2048. Alright, then we could just go in and do Edit, Paste. And it's pretty smart, it's just gonna paste in the vector object. So our character's all good there. Now, if we go down into the Layers panel over here, create a new layer, we can add some filters in. I am going to go up to the filter here, go to Render, and hit Clouds. Clouds is a really cool filter, definitely my favorite filter. I'm going to go in and change the opacity down to about 50% just to make it a little bit less harsh, and then change the layer blending to color dodge, or yeah, color dodge. Color burn, color dodge. Alright, still pretty harsh. Alright, so it's getting a bit of a cool effect there. Looks like with the particular colors I've chosen, that may not be the best layer effect to use. So I'm going to go with multiply. Just add some extra texture on there. Maybe darken. Let's stick with multiply. Okay. Now, while we have this character, we also have a bunch of extra stuff on the outside. And for the way we're going to be saving this at the end, we don't want this. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to create a mask to mask out everything except for our character. So what I have to do is select our character, which I can do by holding Control and hovering over the thumbnail here. Just click on that, and I've selected everything within the character. Now I'm just with this clouds layer here selected. I'm going to click on this mask button. Now you can zoom in here. Looks like we've got a bit of a, make that maybe a little darker. Alright, so now we've got a bit of a cool effect. Just changes up the colors a little bit. And we've got our mask here, which is covering everything pretty well. If we turn this back on, we'll see that we can only see this effect in our character. Alright, now I'm going to do this again just with a different one of these filters, because there are a bunch of cool ones. We could go into fibers, and yeah, as I remember, you have to fill this with a color. So we're going to go to, with this layer selected, go up to the top and go to Edit, Fill that with black. We can go to Filter, Render, Fibers. Alright, so we can change this around any way we'd like, but I think we're going to stick with right about there. Okay, so I'm going to go with multiply, bring that down quite a bit because this is a pretty intense effect. And then the same way we did this before, I'm going to hold Control, click on this thumbnail and select our character, and then mask out the rest. Alright, so we've got some cool texture put on here. If you did this with just the head, or just the body, or just the pants of your character, you could create different effects for different parts of the body. It's definitely an option, and doing this again, I would definitely do that to accentuate those effects. Alright, one of the last effects we can do is we can create some layer effects. And to do that, I'm going to need to rasterize this layer. So I'm going to right-click on this object, or this layer here, and go to Rasterize Layer. Now I can double-click on this thumbnail, and this will bring up some cool layer effects. I can drop down all of these, and we can close that really quick, turn that on, go back into these layer effects. We can check out, see what these are doing, create a bit of an embossed look. I don't think that's going to look very good for our character, but in the future, if you were ever to want to use that, there's that. There's also some really cool effects here with glowing. It's basically going to make a feathered outline on either the inside or the outside of your character. So I'm going to do it with the outside first. I can change the color here to black. I'm going to change that to normal. And you can see I've created this really soft edge here on the outside, but I can make it bigger by bringing that up here and making the spread a little bit bigger as well. This isn't really going to do much for us right here, but you could use this to create shadows. Alternatively, you could use the drop shadow effect to create a drop shadow in a particular direction. On the inner glow, I'm going to stick with the white, or actually let's move this to a bluish color. I'm going to go with normal for that, bring up the opacity, and I'm going to bring this in a little bit. This is going to create a glow effect, and this is a pretty neat effect for other characters. It doesn't look really fantastic for the character we've created, but creating characters that might glow, particularly like electricity or fire or something, these effects will really create a lot of power for you. So that is how you do these. You'll also maybe want to check out some of these other ones. There's tons of combinations of these layer styles that you can stack on top of each other, and they will create an interesting look for you. So in the next video, we're going to be moving back to Illustrator and then exporting each piece of our character, moving it into Maya, and going from that to create an animatable character. If you don't have Maya, you can look through the Autodesk website and see if you can find a way to get a student license. They're pretty widely available, but this is also a non-necessary section of this tutorial, so if you'd like to stop here, you do have a pretty neat character going already, and you have all the tools to create more characters like this.